The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
What's up, everybody? We're here today at the EP Forum. We got Elijah Shaw here from Icon Global. Now, Elijah, we've been following a lot of the stuff that you've been doing.
Thank you, bro.
What I love about what you do is that, first of all, you have an incredible personality.
Thank you.
Okay, and that comes out. You're also someone that, to me, every time I see the stuff that you push out, and even having conversations with you and having conversations with people that know you, like, humility oozes from you. And it's something that's, I find it a rare thing because in an industry that is so just like milk.
Yeah.
So let's start off with that. How do you find that does for you, just having that kind of like outlook and mentality?
Well, you know, it's not intentional, but it's appreciated.
Okay.
And I think what I wanted to do was I wanted to approach the craft, you know, and I'm sure, particularly early in my career, you know, I was full of that testosterone, you know, we're alpha, we're go.
Right.
But I wanted to approach the craft understanding that what are our objectives? And if you can get the objectives met, you can get the client's objectives met, then we don't need to put on any illusions. All we need to do is just service the client and make sure that we don't damage their brand or our brand while we're doing it.
Right.
You can be a real person doing that. And so what happens with me, and again, I appreciate what you said, but what happens to me is sometimes I talk to protectors, and how we talk backstage, on the phone, away from the client is different than what I get from them when they're out in the field.
Right.
And I don't know that there necessarily needs to be that distinction.
Okay.
And the reason why is because sometimes we can build something up, we can create this illusion that puts us in a trap.
Right.
Particularly when it's one that, you know, I like to say what we do is we call it controlled aggression.
Right.
But that's a mindset, and that's strategic.
Right.
If it's just aggression,
right,
it's going to get you in trouble.
That's right.
And so I do try and make sure that I do like self checks.
Right.
You know, are the things that I'm putting out in the world, are they realistic? You know, I don't want to be a caricature of myself, of the industry, and I want to kind of shoot straight with people.
Okay.
It's kind of a little side note. You can cut all this if you want to.
No,
I don't know if you saw this thing with like the Lizard King, the Liver King. That's what his name, the Liver King. And it's this guy. He works out and he's super swole, and he says all he does is eat this, raw meat, raw organ meat.
Right.
That makes him like that. And they kept asking him, "Hey, do you use steroids?" And he's like, "No, I don't use steroids. I get it just from this, just from living a certain way and eating this meat."
Yes.
And he had all these people that were following him and all these people that were buying into his brand and buying his products. And then it just recently got revealed that he's spending $15,000 a month on steroids.
Right.
At which point now he's at full stop and he's like, "Oh, really, that wasn't me. I wasn't like that. I was just trying to create this brand." So it wasn't true to itself.
Right.
Now he probably could have get the essence of what he was trying to get accomplished out.
Yeah.
Without the artificiality to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Without
the
make believe to
right.
it. So again, I tell that long story to just say, what I'm trying to do is just take out all of the posturing that is kind of prevalent in our industry.
Yes.
And just show that, we can do the job. We can be successful. We can accomplish the client's objectives without being Superman.
Okay.
Because if you were Superman, you're going to meet Lex Luthor. Like somebody's going to try and defeat you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's what we're trying to get accomplished for our clients. I don't think that services us.
No, that's good, man. That's a great outlook. One of the things about like the EP industry, it's a close-knit industry, but one thing I can say is like I've heard through many circles is that Icon Global has become like a recognized brand. Okay. And in life we always talk about like success stories. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of the struggles that it took to get there. I think it's very important that we kind of maybe shine a little light, man, because for you to kind of have what you have today and have the integrity and the professionalism, what what were some struggles that you had to go through to kind of get you in the place where you're at right now?
Sure. Well, so I come from an era prior to social media and prior to the internet.
Right.
So when I realized, I tell the story that I kind of backed into this industry. I started off with, like many do, I started working at a nightclub.
Right.
And when I was working at a nightclub, it was just, I had the good fortune that it was owned by a person who was a celebrity.
Okay.
So I got exposed to that part of the culture. But when I wanted to get the training for it, I remember I wanted to go to ESI.
Yes.
Executive Security International. And I sent out, it was the time you sent a self-addressed staff envelope and you mailed out for their brochure. And I sent this in, and when it came back to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get this training. And it came back and the price was there. And I was like, oh no, I'm not getting this training because I can't afford this.
Right.
And so I had to figure out, like, how am I going to increase, like, better myself in the craft,
right,
if I don't have the financials to support that.
Right.
And so I like to say that what I did was I started in the mailroom of my industry. I figured out what could I do security related that was going to increase my skill sets. And it was an additional challenge for me because I don't come from a law enforcement or military background. So I knew I didn't have these built-in structures that help people advance and then kind of cycle out and say, okay, now let me transition that over to the protective services.
Right.
So since I didn't have that, I said, okay, what can I do in the private sector that's going to give me experience?
Yeah.
And that was uniform security, event security, private investigation, skip tracing. I did everything.
Right.
And I did everything. And I said, more please. You know,
you just want to keep on learning.
More please.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the wages were crap, that's fine. I'm going to eat that for now.
Right.
Because I knew where I wanted to be. So I knew I had to pay those dues.
Right.
And there were many times where, back then I would say I was working details for free. And now when I talk to my students and stuff, I say, you're not working a detail for free, you're giving sweat equity.
Right.
So I was getting the experience in exchange for something, right? Because someone was taking the chance to put me out there.
That's it.
So I knew, I had these huge financial obstacles to overcome, right? Until I could start developing a client base, getting somebody to hire me on a full-time basis where I can get that experience, etc. And that I was at a disadvantage from others that had military and law enforcement, two things that are kind of cheat codes,
right,
to get, kind of fast track you into the industry.
Right.
So I had those challenges in front of me, and I said, that's fine. I'm just going to tackle them one by one.
Right.
Because I know where I want to end up at.
Right.
I remember I used to work for a larger company doing what I do. And when I left, I had a 2-year non-compete agreement. And the day I left, because of my non-compete agreement, I couldn't do work in the industry.
Yeah.
That was it.
You were frozen.
Yeah. And so because this is the only thing I'd ever done, I said, what am I going to do next?
Right.
And so I was driving in the car, and I said, well, what do people do when they,
Yeah.
And I said, sales. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I picked up a book, and there was a car dealership that was hiring. So I had my suit on from work, and I pulled into the car dealership, and I did an interview with these guys, and they hired me. Long story short, I'm working at this car dealership, making money on commission, 100% commission, but I built my company in a notebook. And in that notebook, I mean everything, how the website was going to look, what the copy on the page was going to be about,
right,
what the logo was going to be, the whole thing inside this notebook, as I said and watched people come on the lot to get cars.
Yeah.
And so about 1.5 years in, I actually had the decision. I did really well in the car business.
Right.
It's the only other job I've ever had.
Right.
But I had to make this decision. Once my non-compete, I was able to buy out of it 1.5 years in when I started my own company. But once I started the company, the idea was kind of fully formed. I had it on paper, and had thought it through and tabletopped it, etc. So to your point, I think some of the challenges and some of the struggles that I have had are some that people still have today, which is there might be at a deficit in terms of training because of their backgrounds,
right,
and finances, because finances affect everyone,
right.
But I think there are ways that if this is something that you want to do, this is an industry that you want to be in, there are ways that you can overcome those,
right,
because those don't stop you, and even here, at a forum like this is amazing that I could come to this, network, interact with people. So if I was new to the business or I was trying to get in or take myself to the next level, like this is worth the price of admission, literally.
Right.
Because not only am I, getting information, getting insight, getting jewels, but I'm also having the opportunity to put myself in front of people who the next time I reach out to them, it's not a cold call.
Okay.
It's a little bit warm. So I say all that to say is that there are obstacles, there are hindrances, there are times where I call it 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Yeah. But you're still going in the right direction.
But they also define you, and they build character.
Yes.
I've heard some people talk about their success stories about the struggles, but as they were moving forward and succeeding, they started to kind of pick up like hate, or almost like the people looking at them like they don't want them to succeed. Did you ever get that as you were succeeding? Because that's all this, like we've heard like in circles that a sign of success is when you start getting some hate because you're kind of going on the right path, right? Did you ever get that, and how did you deal with it?
So the short answer is yes.
Okay.
I call it the gift and the curse.
Okay.
And I think it's human nature. We love the process, but once someone makes it to that, whatever this, perceived, top of the mountain is.
That's right.
Then we just kind of wait. We want to see the train wreck.
Right.
We want to see that.
Right.
And the hate comes from a place of most individuals just aren't thinking about it.
Right.
Most individuals want to be somewhere else themselves. They're not comfortable in the areas that they're in, and there's a default, which is, and we can, as a society, we kind of trend towards the negative. Right. And we do that with sports players. You pick apart your favorite team. Pick apart your favorite player, even though they're at a superhuman level. That's right. LeBron James is a superhuman, but we can say, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing. So it's human nature.
Right.
So for me, it was, once I identify that, okay, everybody does this. Right. Now don't let it bother me. No. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or even better, use it for fuel. Right.
That's right.
Because I think there's different ways that you can take that in. Right. I was actually just having a conversation about this. Wow. And there's a director, his name is J.J. Abrams. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he did the show Lost, which is a huge show for network television. And Lost was about a mystery. And there was a point where people were trying to solve the mystery. And they thought that how they wanted the show to go was different than his direction. And they were in the comments and they were trashing him. And he said he used to read the comments and feel really bad. Right. And at one point he said, wait a minute, I have a vision of where I want this to go. Let me stop feeding into this. And so, I took that jewel and I remember saying, you don't have to feed into the hate. You don't have to feed into the negativity. Yes. You don't have to let it get you down, because that's a person's opinion. And it's even tougher these days because social media allows this anonymity. Yeah. You've got people that can just say things, from the comfort of their own homes, behind a pixelated image or something like that. But again, I can take it and I can use it as fuel because I'm not where I want to be.
But you're also very focused on
exactly.
To go.
So I'm distraction. I'm not where I want to be anyway. Right. So all I'm going to do is just say, okay. Now I'm also cognizant enough to be like, oh, some criticisms could be valid. Right. So let me now figure out how I can change that and modify that, etc. Right. So it's not to say, use that LeBron analogy. Right. You can find a fault in his game. Maybe he did this instead of this, or maybe he made this decision instead of this, But I can guarantee you, he's in the court, that evening putting up shots.
Same with Kobe, man. Kobe, he used that as fuel. Oh, I'm gonna just show you right now. Yeah.
And those are motivators. So
that's good, man.
So that's what So yes, I got it. Okay. Before. Yeah. But yes, I think I've used that to kind of inspire me to greater heights.
That's awesome, man.
And I work in a celebrity protection space. Yeah. And I see that with artists. I see artists at the beginning of their career where they have this fan base that roots them on and hopes they get to where they're going. Yeah. And then they reach a certain level of their career and they go, oh, they're popped, they sold out. Yeah. It's like, well, which one do you want it? Right, you know what I mean? Right. I'm the starving artist who support me. Yeah. I get the hit record, I get the breakthrough movie, and now, I'm a sellout. Yeah. So I think it's all about having that perspective, and again, being able to take that and recontextualize it and use it as fuel.
That's good, man. Because Elijah, I can tell you right now, a lot of people, when they listen to this or hear this, because it happens all the time, is the key here is stay in your lane, stay focused, and keep pushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You have Icon Global, which does also, in addition to executive protection, you also do training for people that are looking to get into this industry. And I know personally people that have done your training and have kind of like referenced it as life changing. Okay, which is a testament to who you are as an individual again. But let me ask you this: for the person that is looking at jumping into this industry, of course they should research it and jump in. But for someone that does your training and wants to like represent you, what do you look for? Like what do you look for to be like, you need to come up with this, because this is kind of like what I need to have, that peace of mind that you got it. You know what I mean?
You always hear this big conversation about hard skills and soft skills.
Yes.
And, I love that.
Yeah.
But it really is these innate qualities, the personality.
Right.
The personality, the composure, the demeanor. I can teach both hard and soft skills. I can't teach ethics.
Right.
I can't teach morality.
Right.
I can't teach self-determination, self-awareness. Like, those are the pieces. So if somebody comes through my training program, I can show them how to nuts and bolts of how to do the job.
Yeah.
But the thing that I identify for people that I recommend for assignments, I pull on to details, those are people that have something in them, a quality that I'm not training them for.
Right.
Right. So those are the things
it's like
that
almost like in their DNA, like this goodness.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It's right. So, this person's going to go somewhere. This person is, once they get the task, they're going to do the best of their ability to accomplish that task.
They got the X factor.
There it is. They're going to be as invested in this as you are.
Right.
Because that's what the clients want. The clients want the result.
That's it.
Right? They want the result.
Right.
So if right now I'm here, I have one of my staff in my role with one of the protectees.
Right.
He's doing the body position.
Right.
So the client isn't minding I'm here.
Right.
But they want what this agent is doing to be how Elijah would do it.
Okay.
Right? Because if not, then they're getting a diminished product.
Right.
And they don't want that.
Right.
And so anyway, I say all to say is that I want someone who, yes, of course I want you to know the nuts and bolts of the job. I want you to be proficient in martial arts. I want you to be proficient in firearms. I want you to know how to do a covered evacuation drill. I want you to do all of those things. I want you to know how to do an advance. I want you to do a route analysis, a risk analysis, a risk assessment. Like, I want all of those things, but I also want you to be a good person.
Right.
And I can't teach you how to be a good person.
Right. Right.
So those are the things that I'm looking for. So the agencies, training company, a division, and then a consulting firm.
Right.
And I used to hire people the traditional way. I used to, put an ad in the paper, or used to put it on LinkedIn.
Right.
I would do a series of interviews with people in person or over Skype. And then I realized, wait a minute. One interview, 30 minutes. 2 interviews, maybe I'm spending an hour and a half over a series of 3 interviews or something like that. My shortest course is a minimum of 60 hours.
Okay.
That's going to give me a better indication of what a person,
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? Like
that's
how do you react under stress?
Yeah.
How do you deal with, the people that are in the class with you?
It's a 60-hour interview.
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, it's not a promise of a job.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But I get to say, so I mean, this is years ago now. I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm going to pull people for the organization, I'm going to pull them out of this because I get to be with them even when they don't realize that I'm watching them. And
that's good advice, because we talk to police services that when they're hiring police, they say that, for example, when they come in to do their physical, they're looking, even though they're there just to do a physical, they're looking at them. How do they walk in? What is their attitude? Are they distracted? Are they engaged? Are they giving up at the threshold, or are they going beyond? You're doing the exact same thing. You're seeing like, hey, let me see everything about you. That's amazing, man. So, do you have anything coming up that someone can jump into and get some information?
Yeah. So I've actually, I've got 2 books out that I've co-written with a gentleman, Dale L. June, who's a retired member of the United States Secret Service, and that was Introduction to Celebrity Protection and Introduction to Executive Protection, the 4th edition. And both of those are in print and also in audiobooks. Okay. So those are the 2 things that if someone can't make a training course and live abroad, or they just want, to kind of sharpen their skills, I recommend the books. Okay. Spend $30 on a book or something versus thousands of dollars on a course. However, if it's something that you want to say, hey, I want to spend some time learning the nuts and bolts, the tactile things. Then we do an in-person course.
Okay.
And so my next course is actually at the end of February. So it's February 26th.
Where?
We do. It's going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's the Icon Celebrity Protection course, which is a 5-day course.
Okay.
And then we do right at the end of that is that we do a 5-day advanced course. And,
Okay.
and I've had a fortunate to been able to bring people in.
Nice.
These instructors from all over. I had Christian West the last time for the course, Bob Dugan come down here. So just these great instructors from all over to kind of help. And Mark Six James, you know Mark.
Yeah.
So I have all these guys that kind of come in and help and offer their perspectives.
That's
and again,
great.
it all comes from a good place.
Okay.
And we want people to go out in the industry and achieve and reach these kind of higher levels.
100%.
And that's one of the reasons I made Byron click so well.
Yeah.
Because he wants people to be successful.
Right.
You know, being successful doesn't mean that doesn't hurt your brand.
That's
It
right.
enhances your brand.
That's
right.
right.
So you want people to go and it's not about spending money. It's about investing in yourself. And if you can get a return on your investment, if you can get a return on your investment, it's worth it.
That's it, man.
So if someone comes here, they fly down for something like this, and they say, "Wow, I met this guy here. He called me back 2 months later and told me about this opportunity." That's a return on your investment,
Right,
You
right.
know, or I was just listening to him talk, and I was about to make this mistake with a client I'm working with now. That's
Yeah.
a return on your investment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that we should be striving for, and as providers,
Yes.
right, giving the students a return on investment, and for someone who's looking at it, considering continuing training in any type of area or starting their career off, where can I get a return on my investment?
That's awesome. And you know what? I know in Canada, we've noticed the market for EP requests to start to jump. Have you noticed a surge
Yes.
in the US?
Yes.
So even more reason why.
Yes. So one, I've been obviously everybody got affected by COVID.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in the touring space.
Yeah.
So we watched tours go to zero,
Right.
during COVID. And I knew on the other side of that, right, you got 2 years, year and a half of these clients not making this revenue.
Right.
That on the other side of that, they're going to tour like crazy. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So once that happened, everybody started booking shows, everybody started booking events, etc. So you've got that whole avenue, that whole stream.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, society is becoming much more hostile,
That's
much
it.
more
That's
polarized.
it. Yeah.
So, you've got these politicians who didn't have security before, or aspiring politicians or pundits that now need security just because of their viewpoints and just because of what they say in front of a microphone.
Right.
There's a need for protectors, but I think even more importantly is how you separate yourself from the pack. So there's a need, right? But how do you identify when somebody goes, "Oh, let me call this person here."
Right.
I want this person on my assignment.
Right.
And I think that comes from, again, the mindset.
Okay.
And then having the proper training.
That's good, man. Listen, I really want to thank you for your time here. I think what you're doing is very beneficial to the industry. I think, again, who you are as an individual, people can be drawn to you, right? Because I've spoken to a lot of people over the years. Sometimes there's walls of like very militant style, and it can be intimidating, but you're very approachable, you're to the point, and I think a lot of people can benefit from your educational learning style. So thank you for what you're doing, man. And I'm very interested to continue looking at your journey. How can people find you on social media or anything else?
Kind of all over the socials. I use it kind of for my branding. But it's Elijah Shaw. So if you just type Elijah Shaw in any of the majors, that's Elijah Shaw for Twitter, Elijah Shaw for Instagram, Elijah Shaw for Facebook.
Okay.
LinkedIn, so all those. And I respond back to people. So, if you have a question, if you get stuck on something, just shoot me a message out. I'll be happy to try and help you if I can. So.
Okay. Last mini question.
Yes.
The bonus. How do you balance everything? How do you balance everything?
Yeah, once I figure that out, I need to ask you that. So
Okay.
First of all, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I feel if you don't love what you do, which you might not start off loving what you do, but you can't get a point to where you love what you do,
Yes.
do something else.
Okay. Good.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
So I don't flick a switch and all of a sudden I'm not an EP agent.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
this
You're
is
always on.
I'm always immersed in the lifestyle, but
Yes.
it's a lifestyle that I love.
That's right.
Yeah. But the challenge is, and I don't want to sugarcoat anything, is finding that work-life balance, making sure you have a quality of living, not devoting 100% of yourself to your clients so that you don't have anything for your family and friends and things like that. So it's an ongoing process, and
Nice.
Maybe one day you invite me out to Canada to the
100%.
show, man,
Oh, yeah.
and we can have the whole
100%.
episode just about that.
100%. That's gonna happen, man. Thank you so much for your time, brother. Appreciate you.
Much
Man.
success, man.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.